All right, things are about to get complicated. So I have a 3D printer I need to assemble, some base shakers I need to mount onto my new rig, a wind I need to put together, and a couple of parts I need to 3D print to achieve that, and some ideas that may or may not work. However, sounds like a good plan and looking forward to all the challenges that come with it. So now let's just put everything aside and focus on unboxing and assembling the Ender 3B3 SE 3D printer from Creality. And this is a very entry-level 3D printer. I purchased this refurbished because I didn't want to go crazy without knowing the basics of 3D printing. So let's jump right into it.
It was actually easy putting this 3D printer together compared to the expectations I had. The things I saw online were crazy. People were literally building the whole thing from scratch. So that's what I expected. But then when I opened the box, everything was actually 80% already done. But this time around, I wanted to follow the manual. I didn't want to just wing it because this product had so many moving parts and I didn't want to mess up anything. Also, this being my first 3D printer, I just didn't want to mess up. Honestly, it feels like I'm crossing into a whole new world. DIY sim racer turned into a fabricator, but I'm not complaining. This is actually exciting.
I'm just hoping it works. Like, I'm nervous because, you're going to leave this thing to be running for hours. I'll definitely monitor it on my phone. Apparently, you can do that too.
Cap.
But it's like, you just wait for 2 hours hoping that everything comes correct. I need to change the filament if I want to do that. I purchased a new filament, which I have here. So I'll mount that. And I also have a filament dryer. Apparently you need to dry these things. This is what we have. This also needs to be plugged in.
Adding the 3D printer to the software was actually difficult. It wasn't working. I kept trying.
You know what? I'm going to airdrop the STL from my laptop, my other laptop, to this one, and then start printing because I don't know why the software is not running on this laptop. I might have to restart it or something. But let me just airdrop the STL from here to here onto the drive so we can go ahead. Okay, so it's printing now.
At this time, printing had begun, so I thought.
Honestly, I don't see anything happening, and I want to try again or see if I can configure the whole thing again because it's been moving for a couple of minutes and then nothing is happening. But at least you should be leaving something. I don't see anything, bro. I don't know. But let me try again. Let me replace the filament in the reheat or preheat. Do all that and see how. Because I'm just going through the manual and I don't know.
So I decided to print one of the template files that came with the 3D printer. And then as that was printing, I captured the setup or the settings that were used for that particular print and then replicated that on my WinSim component. And then voila, printing began. So after 2 hours, the print was done and it looked very beautiful. And this was officially my first 3D print. After, I decided to use the same settings to print parts that was going to hold the air intake for the WinSim. This was going to last for 4 hours, so I put everything together, started printing, and then went to bed. At 2 a.m., the print was done. This took 4 hours. So instead of going back to bed, I decided to test it out, and I noticed only one screw hole was aligned. So I readjusted that quickly so I can print the components needed for the left side of the wheelbase. So I did that adjustment, I made some slight tweaks to it, and then we started printing.
So now we can go ahead and start mounting the base shakers onto the pedals and also the seat. Yesterday we printed this So this goes in here, tighten up the clip, and then the fan goes here. I don't have the fan here right now. I have to go pick it. So that's one thing that we need to do. That is, we'll deal with this when we are working on the wind sim. I also printed out these parts. I actually noticed that I made a mistake with this. It was supposed to tilt inwards, not outwards. But then I'll find a way to still make it work. I think the prints look clean though. The second one, which was the one I corrected, actually came out messy. But I can't spend another 4 hours printing this whole thing again. So I tilted that slightly. So if you look at them, you can tell there's a difference in here. So when you place this on the rig, automatically faces me. That was the whole point. So these two are done. I just have to mount the hose in there, and basically this goes in here like this. Just squeeze it in there. So this is how it's going to look. So this goes in here and then bounce from behind, and the fan goes to the back, if you guys get it. But yeah, so my plan was to use this knob sound amplifier with my previous setup. So I've had it for a while, looks quite old. But I found the cheaper one on AliExpress, so they both came together. I decided to use that one. I'm going to use the knob sound for this particular rig. There's only one thing though, it's just two-way, and I noticed I bought 4 transducers, pack transducers. So either I connect 2 to 1, 2 to 1, or find a way to, since I'm having these on the pedals, I don't know how the setup will be, because with my previous setup, I just needed two big transducers, one on the front part of the rig, the second on the back. But this one, because they are small packs and they go on the pedal, I don't know if it'll still work. I mean, it'll still work, but I don't know if the vibration will run through the whole seat. The funny thing is, I purchased this online, which is for the pack bass shaker that I have here. So this is one of the Dayton audio transducers that I have. So it goes here, and then this mounts onto the pedal. So that's how it's going to be. I need to pull the whole rig back, take out the screws in the pedals, and then place this behind.
So the screws that came with the transducers were tiny, so I had to cut some long screws I had and then attach the fans onto the ducts printed. So basically the inlet goes into the 3D printed portion, and then the air intake connects to the inlet, tighten up the clip, and then mount the 3D printed parts onto the wheelbase. This will make sense soon. As the other components or the other duct was being printed, I decided to mount the bass shakers onto the pedals. This was pretty simple and straightforward. It was tight enough, so I didn't need to worry about any rattling sound, because that's what I didn't want.
Now let's jump into Simhub. Let me turn on my knob sound, and then we see what we have in there. I'll show you how to set it up. I think in my previous video I didn't do that, so I'll show you how to set it up. That was from the PlayStation, so you needed to use IP and make sure everything is synced to the network and the ports and everything. But since we are using a PC, this is pretty simple and straightforward. So let me open Simhub. Let's walk through how to test if these things work, because I've not even tested them out.
I had to fast forward this a little, but you can slow this down to follow the whole process. It's pretty simple compared to the other things that you need to set up. You just need to connect your bass shakers to the amplifier, and then set the amplifier as the output in Simhub, so Simhub can connect basically the bass through that amplifier to the bass shakers. So it's pretty simple connecting this. You don't need to have any, or you don't need to set up any complicated stuff compared to how it is for the console users.
I hope I was able to help with how to set up Simhub. Now I'm going to jump in game and at least try to see if I can play with the effects a little, test it out, and I'm not going to fine tune everything right now because I need to jump onto setting up the wind sim. There's a print running right now, so I need to go check up on that too before we can do both sides. So let's get right into testing F1 out, see how the effects work. Okay, let's just, whoa.
Yeah, you can actually hear the rumble from the bass shakers.
I think I've actually forgotten how intense these bass shakers felt. It's so wild how something this tiny makes a huge difference in your gaming. I like this. I still need to fine tune to find the sweet spot and also the effects that I want to feel. I think right now the acceleration is a little too much. I don't want to get out from the rig and then I feel sensations all over my body. That's not the plan. So yeah. Ooh. Nah, but this is good.
With the bass shakers complete, I decided to now work on the wind sim, attach my motor shield to my Arduino board, connect all the necessary cables, that is cables for the fans, so negative, positive, red for positive, black for negative. I'm sure you know that already. Make sure I connected all of that. There are videos online to teach you if you want to go in depth how to connect these things. Cut your 5V adapter. I soldered them to make sure they enter the input section easily, because sometimes the copper wire is just like all over the place. If you know, you know. So I put everything together and then now mounted the wind sim holder onto the wheelbase. Mind you, we still had just one screw holding up, and then the component was slightly taller than the wheelbase, but for now we didn't care about that. We were trying to find a good place to mount this whole setup. I didn't want to attach any of the components to the monitor stand, so I was literally trying to find a good place to attach the fans to the rig without touching the monitor stand, because we do move these a lot. We are always making changes and always tweaking the setup, so I didn't want to have an issue where I pull one thing and then everything falls apart. So I think I found a good place and it looked really good, and I think it was ready for me to go ahead, connect everything, and then test this out. So in Simhub, once again, this is a little complex compared to that of the bass shakers, but you need to configure your Arduino board. Slow this down if you also need to follow, but it was pretty simple, I would say. You just need to key in the information or key in the data and then upload onto your Arduino board, and then that's going to configure the motor shield to work. I don't know if that makes sense, but I had to go to Reddit to understand this. But yeah, if you want to follow, you can slow it down and then try this and test it out. The component wasn't working for some reason. I had to order a motor shield because I noticed I was using the wrong motor shield. I needed a motor shield V2 Adafruit, and I think what I ordered was slightly different. So I spent that time, I had to wait for 5 days, so I spent that time designing my own customized wind sim holder, basically, because the first one I downloaded was very generic and was slightly taller than my wheelbase. It didn't look cool, so I did my own thing and then started printing out. I made so many mistakes in the beginning, but it's all part of the process. In the end, I was able to get this together. I started printing and then this happened. The universe is literally against me because this thing was printing and the lights went out and the resume button didn't show up on the printer. And I'm like, bro, I've done this too many times. So I just took it off the bed like this. I'll keep it this way. I'm not going to even like try to. At this point, I'm tired. I was literally going through it. Everything lines up too, so it means this would have been a better print. But yeah, I'll just keep it like this because I've had enough, bro. So I printed the other part, that is the left side, and then moved everything onto this holder. And actually this looks better, or this looks better, and it's also printed with black filament. So I mean, all in all, everything came together nicely. Plugged everything in.
After waiting for 5 days, I finally received the motor shield that I need. This is the Adafruit motor shield version 2. So I'm going to replace what I had initially. Now I have about 4 Arduino boards that I don't even use, but I'm sure I'll find something for them later on. So I'm going to replace that. Then we can test the fan again, and hopefully this will work.
So once again, took everything apart. Because this was simple because it was just the motor shield we were changing. So we just reconnected everything again, and then went ahead to test it out. And look how amazing this thing looks. You can even actually hear how fast these sounds are moving. This was a 4,000 RPM fan I purchased. The initial one was 1,500, which was very low. But this was very high powered, and you can literally hear how loud it was. I was very, very happy with this. I couldn't wait to show anyone that stepped into the room like how cool this thing looked. And coupled with the bass shakers working, it just feels like we're in a real car, basically. I'm even smiling looking at this.
If you are interested, or you have an interest in making things work DIY, putting stuff together yourself, please hit the subscribe button. This helps the channel a lot, and trust me, there's a lot more chaos coming and a lot of stuff we are going to try our hands on. So I'm going to give you a second to hit the subscribe button. Yeah, thanks for hitting the subscribe button. Yep, so I purchased a T300 steering wheel for my rally setup. Let's mount this. I don't have an idea what I'm going to do with the T150.
So initially I mounted this with the basic table mount or table holder that comes with it, but I left my niece in this room for 2 minutes and the whole thing fell apart. So I redid everything again using screws. So I screwed them onto the wheelbase platform, and then I found out this was a 110 wheelbase, so meaning I needed to get a step down converter or a stabilizer to be able to power this, which was quite unfortunate because I didn't want to purchase one for.
But for now, let's bring the stabilizer. Let's test this out. Let's use the TV out the output. Then if this works, I'll be so excited. It means I don't have to buy any CPU for this setup. The only thing is I don't have to run both of them concurrently. So, because the moment you run this and this together, you're just overwhelming the PC. And my PC was like not the most powerful. My GPU is 4060, so it's not any powerful system. Yeah, let me get the stabilizer in. Let's plug everything. So I'm going to connect this HDMI to the TV and then test it out. Okay, so I installed the Trustmaster stuff. Let's see if it works now. I've got a keyboard.
Everything was coming together slowly. And you might think, oh, this is nothing, but I was actually excited because I had to purchase an extended USB and HDMI cable to be able to connect this, and I was thinking the power was enough to make it work. So I was actually excited everything was working. It's nothing complicated, but these little things make a difference.
So now that we know this works, that leads us to the next thing, and that is this package. It comes to the plate, couple of screws, and the holders, and then you have the handbrake itself. So basically, I need to mount this onto the setup. I'm going to add a link to where I purchased this from. I think it was from eBay. I'm going to share this with you guys. Attach it to the setup now that we know everything works. But yeah, right now everything is coming together nicely. WinSim works. Let me just attach this to this. The cable management is so bad. Like right now we have wires all over the place. Fix everything together and then we can jump into proper racing. So if you've been following this build journey, you know it's not really about perfection. It's about experimenting. It's about progress and trying my hands on new things like 3D printing. Now I find myself learning the 3D printing softwares, and we have a WinSim running, we have a Dash running, we have our old rig running for a rally. We haven't connected the base shakers to that yet. I don't want to overwhelm the PC for now, so we are going to do that eventually. And I need to bring my monitor down here and then get a new one for my workspace. But yeah, this is what we've been able to achieve. I hope you guys like the video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to like this. We have some more stuff coming. I'm not going to give you guys a clue. But yeah, I'm not going to say it's going to be big, but let's see how it goes. You guys take care of yourself. Peace.